If you have ever walked away from a conversation with a family member, feeling small, misunderstood, or like you betrayed yourself just to keep the peace, this one's for you. You're not broken, you're not too emotional, and you're not the black sheep, no matter what they say. You're someone who's finally telling the truth about what no longer works. And that is what makes you powerful. So let's talk about this for today. What is this really, really about? So I get asked about boundaries a lot. I probably hit boundaries, and I'm sure every coach, spiritual coach guide does. Boundaries becomes a big piece. And a lot of it's because boundaries are tied up with people pleasing, with the way that we've been trained, by the way that we've been raised. How do we move into this? And boundaries get really confused by commands and demands and expectations, which is actually not what boundaries are. So first and foremost, we need to understand that what boundaries are about self-respect and self-regulation, and we cannot control other people or demand their behavior any more than they can do that for us. And just like it's not a sign that we love somebody by bending our will to them, it's not a sign that they love us if they were to bend their will to us. So everything about boundaries is about respect. And that's what we're talking about here. And when I get asked about it in families, it's an interesting one because it's a place where we often feel we get the least amount of respect, even though it's the place that we're supposed to be or feel the most love. So what we're talking about here today is setting boundaries with family, but not just from like a script and telling you things to say, you know, a little play acting here. What we're talking about is how to hold the ground. So how to hold our ground without guilt, without chaos, and without really abandoning ourselves in the process. So when I'm working with people, one of the big things that comes up is we talk about betrayal, a fear of being betrayed, a fear of being abandoned. And what we don't realize is the first person that usually abandons or betrays us, or one of the first, is usually ourselves. We betray our needs. We betray who we are. We abandon ourselves to please other people, and especially in our family. And we're taught young. Why is mom upset? Because you did something. So it's your fault for mom's emotions. So if you want mom to be happy, you need to behave a certain way. We're literally taught people pleasing as children. And then we pass it on, and without even realizing, we do it to our own children. I certainly did it to my own. So and generation after generation after generation, this has been going on. We're going to do this through the lens of something Mel Robbins calls the let them theory. And I'm going to show you how to use it and think it like a sword of self-respect. And we're going to wield it wisely. So let's just talk about first what the let them theory means. And before there's any pushback on this, no, it is not Mel Robbins' theory. Mel Robbins wrote a book on this, and I love that she did. The let them theory has been around for a long time. Her daughter, even in the book, she explains her daughter brought it to her while dealing with her son's grad. So the let them theory is being used in all sorts of language. It's the baseline of all coaching, is really saying you're your only project. You can't do anything about them. You got to do you. And that's really what I love about the let them theory. But what I love incredibly about Mel Robbins' let them theory is, and the way that she describes it in her book, is she doesn't just say let them. The second component, which is vital, is let me. Let me. Let them do them. Let me do me. And that is what I love about this. And we can use this in boundaries. We can use it with our families. We can use it with our friends at work. So let's dive into this. Here's the truth. You don't have to convince people to understand your boundaries at all. Let them misunderstand. Let them gossip. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them believe whatever they want to believe. Why? Because you don't set boundaries to control their behavior. You set boundaries to honor your self-worth. That's the point of them. They honor your self-worth. They honor your values. Your boundaries have nothing to do with other people. They have everything to do with you. And yes, this is especially hard with family. Why? Because that's where our deepest emotional and spiritual contracts lie. They lie with our parents, our children, our spouses or romantic partners, and with our closest friends. Those are major contracts where we will do our greatest growth within those relationships. So of course it's hard. They're important relationships, but still. So we need to let them dislike your boundaries. Let you honor yourself. Now, within that is also the relationship to our boundaries with family and our nervous system. So our nervous system, our own wiring, it's wired for connection. We are tribal beings. And thinking that we really want everybody to go away or that we don't care, let's be honest, it's BS. We do care. We do want to be loved. We do want to be accepted. We do want to be liked. Nobody wants to be rejected. No one wants to be abandoned. It doesn't feel good. We don't want it. Even those of, I was going to say us, but I mean, I have my own insecurities that come up with this as well. We all have somebody that it matters a lot. And it can be really hard setting a boundary with somebody who's extraordinarily valuable to us, whether that's a spouse, a best friend, or a parent, or a mentor. Those are big roles that people play. Nowadays, even our kids. I know a lot of people that really struggle to have boundaries with their children, not because they don't know their children need them, but there's some sort of distorted fear about their children not loving them. And this becomes a huge problem because one of the things that comes from boundaries is boundaries not only help us feel safe, but they actually help the people around us feel safe. So even when we take a look at it from family, not just the family out there, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, everybody else that wants to be all up in our business, but we also have our children. And that's a big one. How do we have boundaries with our kids? Well, we let them. We let them get upset with us when we have the boundary. We let them dislike what we have to say, when we hold our ground. So when we hold a boundary that threatens belonging, our body will often freak out a little. We'll feel shame, we'll feel guilt, tightness, panic. It can get out of control. It's like the little amygdala, the little chicken little inside your head just starts freaking out. But that doesn't mean the boundary is wrong. It doesn't mean that you should change your position. It means that there's a part of you that was trained to abandon yourself, and it's now being asked to heal. And we need to give the space to do that. We don't break a leg and expect it to be better the next day. There's a timeline that comes with that. Now, that timeline of healing our nervous system is going to be different for everybody. And it's going to be different for everybody based on the speed in which we are willing to put our baggage down. The weight of the baggage that we carry, WEIGHT, directly impacts the weight, WAIT, the time it takes for us to heal. And if you want this in a physical explanation, think of it as if you put on a 100-pound pack and went down the road, it would take you longer than having no pack and walking down the road. It would be more of a struggle, it'd be harder on your body. So the same goes true for our emotional and mental baggage, our belief systems. So it's not shocking that often our nervous system is completely dysregulated, and now we need to give it the space and opportunity to heal. Here's the thing. It will heal faster. We will shrink the amount of time, the weight, the more grounded and connected we are in our body, and the more that we support it and protect it using breath work, using energy techniques, also things like listening to podcasts, reading books, following people that are in support of the healthy changes that you're trying to make in your body, doing somatics work. Lots of different opportunities where we can start to come into our body. So in this case, where the let them theory comes in is to the body, let her shake, let her grieve, let her rise, let her, and let you be present. Now, practical boundaries with our families. I love taking the practical merging it with the spiritual. It's everything that we do. So here's what we can do. When somebody does push our boundary, just say less. I'm not going to give you a script here today. Just say less and breathe more. It could be something like, I understand. This is still what I need to do. But you'll know the right words and honor yourself. Take a breath before we respond. That's how we're able to respond versus react. And get deep into your own body. Feel your feet. If you're sitting down, feel your butt. Feel the back of your thighs against the seat. Feel in. Feel your breath drop. It's going to start coming up into the shoulders. Let it start getting deeper and deeper into the belly so that you can be present with yourself while you're doing this. When they react or project, again, breathe, ground. Let them project. Let them react. And when guilt kicks in, remember, you're not doing this to be mean. You're actually doing this to be honest. As Brene Brown says, clear is kind and unclear is unkind. Having clear boundaries means having a clear, kind, and respectful relationship, even if they dislike. Every time you hold your boundary, you're telling your nervous system, we are safe. We're safe to be self-honoring now. And that's a big deal. Now, want to take it to the next level? And I'm going to encourage you to play in safe zones with this, unless you're absolutely ready to go a little further. And that's get curious. Curiosity is a characteristic of our higher self. It's a characteristic of our soul. And so get curious with people. When somebody pushes against one of my boundaries, pushes against me speaking my truth, my response always begins with, I'm curious. I'm curious what's coming up for you right now. I'm curious. I can see that my boundary is upsetting you. What's coming up? Why is that? Let them start some self-exploration. Dive into a deeper relationship with the person. The problem with boundaries often is there's no room for conversation. This is what I want, you'll do it or else. How is that healthy? How is that creating intimacy, not only having self-respect, but respect with the other person? Now, this is always going to be in a healthy relationship, a relationship that you care about, and you're ready to do that and hold your ground. So make sure that it's a safe place. We're never doing this stuff with narcissists, people that gaslight us, people that are really quite irrelevant to us, or even doing it with people who are maybe sociopathic. So we're not doing this with people who have mental health issues. We're talking about in regular family, still crazy and chaos, but regular family dynamics. So how can we settle into this in our body and support our nervous system to be able to create some conversation, to be able to create deeper relationships with the people around us, the people that we love? And now let's create a little integration into this. So what I'd like to do is take a breath together. So taking a nice deep breath in, and I want you to pay attention to that. So I took a deep breath in, I'm active, I'm here in this conversation with you guys, and my breath came into the upper quadrants of my lungs. I use secondary and my tertiary breathing muscles to have that breath. And so instead, when we're grounding into the body, as I was saying before, feet onto the ground, feeling the seat, soften the pelvic floor and the buttocks. So let that soften out, soften the thighs. And now breathe to the belly so the waistline expands. And just let it go. And then ask yourself, where in my life am I ready to stop over explaining? Who have I been shrinking for and why? And what part of me is ready to choose peace over performance? If this hit home for you, please go ahead and like this video, share it with the cycle breaker in your life or anybody that you would like to have a deeper conversation with, or maybe just somebody you'd like to support and you love them. Subscribe for weekly breath, boundary, and breakthrough medicine. And come join me at the Awakening Circle, my private Facebook group, where we have real conversations about sovereignty, about truth, about healing the body to free the soul. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Let them do them. Let you do you. I see the light in you, and it is brilliant. Until next time, brightest of blessings.